I literally remember a year ago this month, and he showed me Chat GPT. How many of you have played with Chat GPT? Okay. Yes, you're playing. All right. How many of you use it regularly? Okay, some of us, good. Well, I saw that for the first time a year ago when Nathan showed me, and I'll tell you guys, this is the truth. A light bulb went off in my head, and I said, this is the future. I need to learn this, and I need to teach my coaching clients how to use this. I mean, seriously, it was like an epiphany I had right then. I have pages of it, of notes in my journal. Like, this is something I cannot afford to stand behind and not get involved with. I need to learn this. I need to teach this to my coaching clients. So then I started looking at social media a lot more, and Eric is on social media a lot, posting about an AI company. This is last March. And I'm like, what is this AI company, Eric? So I messaged Eric, and I knew Eric because he owned several of my competing brokerages when I was in real estate as well. And I remembered Eric as a great human being, an ethical person, a genuine guy. And I said, you know what? This is somebody I would like to pick his brain. I reached out to Eric. I said, what are you doing with AI? How can it help real estate agents? And how can I get involved? That's what I wanted to know. I wanted to be involved in what he was doing. I thought it was that important. And it's something that my clients needed to know. So we messaged each other a few times in March. I think I came over here to do a presentation. We actually went to lunch. Eric ended up flying over to Boise. We met a whole bunch of times. And then in June, we said, you know what? We're going to do this. So Eric Post, come on up here, Eric. I want him to start talking. He's got a little a different mic. Is your mic work?
Yeah, but mine was the one that was causing the problem. Sorry. So I'll just talk. It was me. I'm the guy with the fuzzy microphone there.
Well, I asked you, why did you build Huzi? How does it work? How can it help realtors? And how can I get involved? Why don't you share with us your thoughts?
So is this all right? Who's a grandma or grandparents in here? Anybody? So 2 days ago, this is why I want to tell you, this is why I'm here. 2 days ago, I was out for a little hike with my dog in the woods. And when I'm out there, because I'm at my computer working on this project all day, every day, I try and unplug, right? It's kind of nice. When you're working really hard, you unplug for a minute, right? So I go there and unplug, and when I'm out in the forest, I never answer my phone, mostly because I'm without signal, but I never answer my phone. But I was out there 2 days ago, and my phone rang. I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. It's ringing. And I picked it up, and you ever had a feeling you're like, I'm supposed to answer this phone call? You know what I mean? Just one of those things. Didn't recognize the name, so I picked it up. And if you can imagine on the other end of the line, you know, that sweet, warm, like grandma voice, right? And she's like, hi, this is Eric. I'm not going to say her name, but this is Ethel, your neighbor. And I was like, oh, so nice to talk to you, right? And she's like, I just have some bad news. Riley fell down a couple months ago. He's not coming back from the hospital, and we're going to have to sell our home. And I'm going to try not to get emotional for a second. So I was like, okay, well, let's talk about this. So I sat on this stump. My dog's sitting there, sat on this stump for like a good 10, 15 minutes. And we chatted. We strategized about what to do with this phase of her life. At the end of the 15 minutes, you ever been on the phone with somebody, you could like feel the energy shift. You could feel, and I could just feel like this weight come off of her for a second. And she started sobbing. And now I'm sobbing, right? I'm in the woods sobbing because you could just feel like she's like, oh my gosh, you know, she had a path forward, a clear path forward. And the reason why I'm here today is because in this industry, we get to be that person for somebody else. Isn't that pretty cool?
It's a high calling.
It's a high calling, right? So besides like, of course, falling down, what other major life events cause somebody to buy or sell a home today? Divorce. What else? How about a happy one? New job. What else? Babies, families, new job, buying an investment property. You get to be that person for that person in that moment in their life. I think that's special. So the reason why we're here today, by the way, yes, we talk about AI. Yes, I have an AI company, but the real estate industry does not need AI. The real estate industry needs people that care about other people deeply, that want to do a really good job. But today what we want to do is try to give you some leverage to where those of you that are good at what you do, that are proud of what you do, that want to serve people at a deep level can do it more. How's that sound? Right? So that's what we want to talk about. Now I want to ask you just a real quick question. Raise your hand if you are good at what you do. To your core, you believe that you're good at what you do. To your core, let me hear you. Put your hands up for a second. To your core, you're good at what you do. Then don't you owe it to every person that you talk to that you need to write their mortgage, you need to help them list their house, you need to help them buy the house, because if you don't, they're going to go to somebody that gets the worst price, a worse product, worse service. So because I know amongst friends here that care about people deeply, that I hope that you take tools like this next year and you decide this is your year that you're going to make your own economy. It doesn't matter what's happening with rates. It doesn't matter what's happening in the headlines. Every single person here gets to make their own economy, I think, this next year. Truly.
That's one of the things I was going to say real quick, Eric. When I met Eric, this is interesting. When AI first entered my brain, Eric's been on this a lot longer than I have. AI first entered my brain, December of last year, and then really early this year, early this spring. I thought, and when I met with Eric, the first thing to me was, Rick, we can usher this in. This is our chance to actually make sure it's done. Somebody else do it. It's going to be a software company that doesn't understand agents, doesn't understand the job at all. And we can usher it in and create something that's going to actually help people. So, we really want to make you the champion for your client, and AI can help you in so many ways. That's why we're doing this. That's exactly what Eric's just talking about. We need people like you that care.
So let's fast forward just for fun. Can you guys hear me okay without the mic? So let's fast forward. Yeah. Let's just fast forward 3 months, 6 months. Some of you in this room are going to decide, because you know that you're going to make your own economy, you're going to decide that the way to get to my level of success isn't through just on accident. It's because you are intentional and disciplined. The D word. The D word. I'm just going to say it. Is it the D word, right? Isn't it true that an Olympic athlete has less choices than somebody who doesn't have goals set that high? The higher the goals, the fewer choices you have.
Nick Saban said that, right? The coach of Alabama.
Did he really?
Yeah. Exactly. When kids come to Alabama, they want to play college football at the elite level. He said they come in, these young kids are all 5-star recruits and great athletes where they came from, and they think, I've got all these choices, I can do all these different things. He's like, you really don't have very many choices, because if you really want to be elite, it takes what it takes. And if you're not going to do that, then you're not going to be elite, right? I just love that.
So imagine you've made the decision today that's you're going to approach 2024, and now you've got AI tools that will literally help walk through every part of your day and filter out the parts of your job that you're spending too much time on. You know the 80-20 rule? Yeah. Isn't it true that probably 20% of your activities actually pay 99% of your bills? Yeah. But yet we do lots of extra stuff. So now imagine a day where you can actually sit in front of an AI system and it helps you walk through and eliminate all of your tasks and all the extra time, and helps actually takes on some of those tasks. Next slide. Let's say that you wake up in a couple months from now, and now you decide to eat right, and you're healthy, and you got your day started right, you do your yoga, meditation, downward dog, whatever you want to do. And then you go to your phone, and now you check your team. You check in your mortgage professional, you check your title, you check escrow, but now you're also checking your AI team. So what I'm showing here on the screen, by the way, does anybody watch Netflix and scroll social media at the same time?
No.
All these goldfish attention deficit disorder people are my kind of people, by the way. So I made slides just for you. We got a bunch of random shit going on back here while I'm talking. All right? So that's what's going on back there. I'm here for you. So, but what this screen is, this is actually the reason why this little thing is here. I covered up my developer. This is a Zoom call here. This is us training and building our transaction manager, our AI transaction manager. So just imagine waking up and on your alerts, or maybe you set it to where it's going to send you emails or your text messages. So all of your files, everything that's going on, and it says, by the way, here's an earnest money due. Here's where it's due. Do you want me to let them know? Here's the email I wrote for you. Do you want me to send it for you? Sure, Huzi, that sounds good. Send it. Right? Hey, you don't have any new listings. Rick, you didn't get any new listings this week. Here's 3 prospecting activities that we might want to do today to help you get a new listing. Right? So imagine, I'm trying to get you to fast forward, because if you're good at what you do and you want to do a great job, I want to arm you guys with some tools to go out and do it at a high level. Okay? So let's fast forward. Boop. Next one. Now imagine, is anybody shown property to a buyer in a neighborhood that you maybe not knew everything about the neighborhood, so you went and did some research? Right?
We know everything about every house.
Every house, right? By the way, what's the #1 complaint of consumers today about the real estate industry? It's not communication anymore. It's now what?
You remember, it was communication for many, many years. The threat report in real estate, the #1 complaint consumers had about agents was lack of communication. That changed in 2019. Yeah. You know what it is now?
Product knowledge.
Yes.
He says product knowledge, lack of knowledge. They feel like they know more than us.
That's true.
That's a big red flag for the industry. So now imagine instead of let's say you get a buyer from out of town and they want to go see a property, and now you got to spend some time. I used to spend a couple of hours researching where's the shopping malls and the schools and what's the walk score, and I really want to know this stuff for this customer because they know it. They've been online. So I don't want to be outgunned, right? But so now you just say, hey, I've got a buyer coming in town from Portland that wants to see this house, create a report that highlights the property, the neighborhood, or whatever, and then you have it instantly. Wouldn't that be cool?
You have AI interface now with your listings, with any listing.
So my point is, this is now. Like, this is actually, I'm just doing a sheet of products that we have built now that we're launching just this week. So this isn't like coming in, this is now. So I want you to imagine if you don't embrace this kind of stuff, but your competition does, who's going to be an advantage?
Yeah.
Fair? So that's really what we're talking about today, is leveraging it, not because it's cool, not because it's techie, but because it can help you do a better job. Okay? So, boop, keep going. All right, and now let's say you go to a listing presentation, but you got the listing presentation because your AI representative of you online captured the lead, nurtured the lead, set the appointment. You didn't even talk to them. So you show up to the listing presentation. What are the two things you need to do in a good listing presentation? What are the two most important factors to get a house listed that's going to sell? The right price and the right condition, right? Those are two kind of friction points in dealing with sellers. So now imagine you go to your listing presentation and you're walking through and you take a picture of the kitchen, take a picture of the great room, take a picture of the master, whatever you want, and then you just upload the photos, and then Huzi literally gives you all the staging tips, all the decluttering, what you need to paint, how you need to arrange the furniture, some possible buyer objections about each room, some suggestions that you could use to overcome them, suggested paint colors, marketing suggestions, all, like, so I just created this little example for you now, building this now. Wouldn't that be cool? Right, so my point is you should leverage these tools, not use them to replace you. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of tech companies are going to try and do. Are you not seeing that? Like, hey, list with me and just upload your file here. Don't need an agent because our AI model passes the national real estate exam by 98%. That's what companies are out there saying right now. And then, by the way, down the landing page, they go, agent, we got a tool for you too. Use us too. So they're competing for your dollars and trying to take your dollars at the same time. It's interesting, right? But we as a company, no, we are trying to serve a consumer with you, not like the company called Zillow. Okay, right, keep going. Right? And now as a little bonus thought, who loved Brian's presentation?
Brian's slides were amazing, right? I hope you guys, I saw a lot of people taking screenshots of Brian's slides. We got a sneak preview of that with Brian a couple of weeks ago on Zoom, and me and Eric both took a ton of notes. Like, wow, this is great content. I love Brian's stuff. Good job, Brian.
And I heard the crowd go, when you put that periodic table and all that stuff into the crowd, was like, what the hell am I going to make of this slide, right? Like, just, I know what it's like to be in these chairs. So I just want to show you is like, if you're a GPT Plus user and Huzi, you can take Brian's slides, upload them, and ask it to tell you what the frick they mean. Or how can I use this slide and give good information to my buyer prospects that are going to come to my open house this weekend? Or my end of the year newsletter, or whatever it is, right? So you can take great content, make sure you give him credit. But if you have a slide like, you're like, what does all the bar charts mean? What's this thing mean? You upload it, you just ask it, and then you have it do whatever you want. So just trying to tell you that now for the first time, you don't have to do it all anymore. There's studies that are coming out of Harvard and MIT that say if you use just even ChatGPT appropriately in the main business tasks, you're going to increase your productivity by at least 25%, and the proficiency or the quality of the work by at least 40% is what they're finding now. So just imagine, for pennies every day, less than what you spend at a Starbucks, you can increase your output by 25% and your quality of work by 40%. That's pretty awesome. So that's why we're here.
Exactly. Eric said this to me a long time ago, and I thought it was a really good analogy. How many of you know Iron Man? Right? Tony Stark. So Tony Stark is a really cool guy. He's got a lot of money. He's good looking and all this kind of stuff. But without the suit, he's just Tony Stark, which is still pretty cool. But when he puts the suit on, that's when he becomes Iron Man. And that's what we think our philosophy of AI should be. It should be enhancing you, not replacing you. He still wears the suit. We still need you to do stuff. But AI can help you be creative. This is really a creativity revolution, which we'll talk about in a minute. But AI can just enhance everything that you do, make it better, and make you more efficient at the same time. So just a couple things. Just want to show you just real quick what happened. How many of you ever feel overwhelmed in your business? Okay, a few of us feel overwhelmed in our business sometimes. Here's just some simple tasks a listing agent might do. Like, give you an idea. We represent our clients in negotiation, right? Provide advice, we market their properties, we set up the showings, we facilitate the closing process and follow up, trying to get the house closed. Well, each one of these could be broken down into several more subtasks, right? I mean, if you really think about what you do as an agent, Well, each one of those subtasks can be broken down. This is thanks to Nate, by the way. He's really good at our graphics. It's like, does this look like your life? How many of you looks like, this is what my business looks like sometimes? If you're dealing with 5 or 6 buyers, you got 4 or 5 different sellers, all of a sudden, I'm in overwhelm. Well, what that does is it hurts your business. It hurts the client's experience. And that's at the end of the day, what Eric is so passionate about. And that's what I love about Eric is we all don't even have a job if we don't have clients. So we can make ourselves better, but how can we really make the experience for the client better?
Yeah, if you're going to write down anything today, I might consider writing this down, that complexity is the enemy of execution. Now more than ever, right? Our attention is like grabbed all the time. We want you to buy this. We want to come over here. Here's this new shiny thing, right? Simplify, simplify, simplify. So for a long time when I like roll out technology in a company or whatever, it took heavy resources. We had to train people and get them all up now. Well, now if you sit down in front of a project like Huzi or sometimes even ChatGPT, if you get stuck, you just ask it what to do next. You don't have to know anymore. All you have to do now is be curious in order to move forward. We're not going to talk a lot about using who's using AI to help you with your social media? Write your posts, write your job. Just please raise your hand so I can just see. Like ChatGPT or something like that. Okay. We're not going to spend any time talking about that because I think that more time should be spent on, instead of talking about social media, how do I broadcast myself, talk about social media as how are you worth other people broadcasting about. In 2024, I don't think it's about going out and collecting your growing your database and dripping on people and putting them in your database. I think it's about how many databases are you in, leveraging. So in order to do that, you got to be worth posting about. You got to be memorable. But now with AI, you have access to all the information that humanity has ever talked about at your fingertips. And if you use a specialized AI like Huzi or one of the others, then you're going to get really good results really fast right away. So
let me say this real quick too, Eric, on that point. Most AI companies and most tech companies in general do it wrong. And they're going to be doing it wrong. If you haven't seen a lot of AI stuff, you're going to, believe me, in the coming 6 months to 1.5 years or so, a lot of new things coming out. And they're getting it wrong because they are, what Eric just said, they are broadcasting to the masses. The whole point of AI, the whole point of our company is to connect with the individuals. Nobody cares about broadcasting to the masses anymore. How many of you get tons of stuff, you just ignore it now? Extra emails, extra texts, extra social media stuff. Like we're all tuning that kind of stuff out. We have to connect to individual people. And that AI can really do that. It can really help you if you use it right. Most people don't use it right. So I know he's going to talk about another company or two.
Maybe. I'm trying not to because everybody has a space. Like just a personal philosophy is that you can't compete with me because I want you to win too. Right? Like just in general. And so when I bring up a company like Homey or whatever, it isn't to say they're bad and this is good, or it's just for bring awareness that there's companies that are out there that want to eat all of your lunch. They want to take all of your lunch money. And they want to use it with technology. They want to take it this industry. Why? Have you seen the comment section below any of the articles that are posted online about the recent lawsuits? Have you been reading what consumer comments are?
Terrible.
Is it generally good or generally bad? Generally bad. So don't we have a huge opportunity to turn that around? Absolutely we do. But we can't do it if we do things like we've always done it. Who was around in this industry in 2008? I'm proud. Yeah, a lot of people. Awesome. We're still here. We're crazy. I was here too. You guys remember when the spigot turned off?
May of 2007 for me. May of 2007. Literally, my wife and I, we lived in West Lynn. I had lots and lots of listings, and we had 27 listings, I think, at the time. And all of a sudden, the phone stopped ringing, and the only calls we did get was people wanting to list. Like, I don't need listings. I need buyers. I mean, I literally remember. So it was May of 2007.
That's right. So the thing that I learned, did you guys learn some lessons in 2008?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's please not forget those as things move forward. One of the things that I learned is that what I thought to win in 2008 was I was just going to work harder, work more, double down, outperform my competitor. It was going to be awesome, except all I did was run myself into the ground because I was operating in a new game with old rules.
Yeah.
And if you play a new game with old rules, you still lose no matter how hard you work. So isn't it true that we probably have a new set of rules, new guidelines? We might have some new, you break up with NAR. We might have new technology, new players in the space, new rules. So if you want to be in a different spot next year, then you got to have new thinking. And that's just, it's really that simple.
Hey, Eric, so a friend of mine back in 2007, I struggled bad in 2007 and 8. Those are the 2 worst financial years of my life. In 2009, I was fortunate enough to have a friend that introduced me to, unfortunately, but it was a good thing at the time, short sales and REOs, right? Joey remembers that. And short sales and REOs were going crazy. I sold over 100 houses in 2009 because short sales is where it was at. But I was not, my 2007 and 8, I'm just going to buckle down harder. I'm going to work with my sphere even more. I'm going to do the things I've been doing. And did it work? No, it did not work. I had to learn the new game. This is literally the feeling, guys, I had in December when Nathan sat down with me and said, have you seen ChatGPT? I said, I've heard about it. And it's like, and I started playing with it. I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to learn this. This is the new game. And if you don't learn the rules of the new game, you're going to get left behind for sure.
So 4 best practices. If you're using AI, ChatGPT, or something like that daily, will you raise your hand for me just so I get a feel for the group? Daily, okay, hands down. If you use it like once a week or every now and then, but use it reasonably often, can I see your hands?
What?
Awesome. If you've never logged in, please be high and proud with a big hand and show me you've never used AI at all. Perfect.
Hello.
That's changed though. When we started doing this, even in June, we would have 4 or 5 hands raise their hand that they've even used it. Literally.
Yes. So here, just first of all, what I want to say is that you're all early to the party.
Yes.
There's no late to the party here. So 4 best practices. And by the way, if you're using ChatGPT every day, what kinds of things are you guys using ChatGPT for? Can I get a feeling here? Does anyone want to volunteer something? Yeah, letters, writing letters? Yes.
Upfront
Social media posts. What else?
remarks in the
Remarks and listings. What else? Anything else besides that?
I buy pictures to make my kids laugh.
Oh, we're making really funny pictures to make his kids laugh. That's my fellow dad joke, buddy. Making logos.
Translating to different languages.
Translating different language is a great use case. Okay, good. So let me give you, especially for the ones that have never logged into an AI system before, never really used it, let me just quickly give 4 thoughts on some best practices first so you can move forward and kind of engage this thing. What I've seen as a concern when people started using ChatGPT, they weren't using it to make themselves better. They were using it to make their lives easier. And if all you're doing is telling machine what to do and giving it a prompt and then taking that output and using it, how much longer is it before you're irrelevant?
You're just like everybody else.
And how much longer is it whatever that prompt is that you're telling it to do is just now a push button for somebody else and you're not needed? Right? So the idea is that we have the chance now to use AI to increase your proficiency, your knowledge, your professionalism. I think is a huge opportunity. So if you're going to use like a ChatGPT, you're finding that you need to be a specialist, right? Or is it sometimes some of the outputs sound kind of like mediocre? Milquetoast, kind of average. Is that fair, right? What is a large language model? What's its #1 job to do? Produce language. It's not to give you wisdom. It's to produce language. So that's why things sound like average. It's like, oh, that sounds pretty good. Because really what's happening is it's read all the internet essentially to really make this simple, and is giving you the best, closest answer based on what's been said on the internet, based on what you asked.
So it's kind of an average.
That's why you might get stuff, or you've even read headlines that says, it lies to me. You ever had that or heard about that? It's giving me bad advice. It's giving me stuff that's not true. It's because its goal isn't to tell you the truth. The goal is to produce language. So when you look at it that way, things start to brighten up. Like, oh, okay, it's producing language. Now I need to outsmart it, so I produce guardrails and boundaries so the language it's producing is good and accurate. Make sense? So don't go to it, think it's this wisdom machine. It's producing language, and you interact with it to get the language you need to do your job. Okay? So it's a big algorithm. And are you guys scared about the robots, the killer robots coming in the next 10 years or so? Skynet, right? Who knows, right? They might turn us all into paper clips. I don't know. But I will say this. People are pretty good at being mean to each other as it is. I don't think we need machines to do that. I actually think with some certain AI systems in place, without the dogmas of the politics or human fallibility, there actually might be some systems that actually might kind of save us. I'm beginning to believe now, right? Now I'm more in this space.
It's funny, guys, when he said that, so when we first started talking about this stuff early this year, and then the more and more we got together and met, my first fear was, oh, okay, robots are going to take over everything. That, how many have had that fear, honestly? Like, okay. Well, and we all kind of thought there was going to be one big AI, like OpenAI versus Google. You know, so you've got Bard and you've got ChatGPT and these big ones. Who's going to win? There's going to be this race. Who's got the most money and all this kind of stuff. That's not how it's going to work. And that's what Eric's about to talk about is there's going to be like a million little AIs for very specific things you need it to do. If you're a dentist office and you want to run your software through a dentist office management and keep your accounting and keep your books, you're going to have a dentist AI. If you're a real estate agent, you're going to have a Huzi, right? You're going to have a specific AI that's trained because now it has context on what you're trying to get it to do. You can train ChatGPT if you're a really good prompt engineer, but how many people are really good prompt engineers?
Are there any good prompt engineers in here, by the way?
Prompt engineer, that's how to ask it the right questions to get the output you want. That's called prompt, is what you type, prompt engineering. Most people are not good prompt engineers. That's why ChatGPT gives you average answers. It'd give you great answers if we gave it great prompts, but we don't know how to do that. So that's why Huzi is trained and it's baked into the system.
So if you're going to use, in 2024, if you're going to use AI system, just in this first one, my suggestion is either you need to become the specialist and really understand prompt engineering or use a specialized AI. That way you can just do your job and the AI's done all the heavy lifting, so it's helping you because it's trained to do the specific thing for you. So choose, but don't do one or without the other. It's all about context. ChatGPT users, you understand how powerful one thread is? That in your thread, you can create multiple chats. You have multiple threads. That when you're chatting on a thread, I want you to understand it is its own world. That's all it knows is that thread. So when you think about it, if you're going to go write your property description, you're going to say, hey, here's the address, write this property description for me. I want it to sound bright and cheery, or I want it to sound like me, whatever you guys are prompting. Ready, go. It's going to give you decent, something decent. Most, you can use that. And by the way, most of your competitors will.
That's what most people do.
Right? But if you do a good job like what we teach and build context, and I might sit down in front of Huzi, it's like, all right, I have this property. Write me a story about what it's like to live in a property like this.
We did this with a downtown Portland condo.
Yeah, we did this, for a class. It writes a story. I'm like, all right, well, what kind of person would want to live in that? It's building all this context, it's building all the time, and I'm talking with it back and forth. I'm like, now, based on all this information, now write me the listing description.
Yeah, what's it like to live in downtown Portland? Write that narrative. Who likes this kind of a lifestyle? It writes that narrative. Now, understanding both what it's like to live here and who likes that kind of thing, now write me a listing description that speaks to those people. Do you see the difference? It's a hugely different answer. It's much better. Listing description. It's crazy how much better it is.
In example A, like what all your competition is going to do, it's going to say it's 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, square footage, close to this, and it's going to sound nice. The way you do it, it really draws a person in. It's like specifically the type of person that wants to have that lifestyle is now going to be reading. It's just a completely different output. So that's about context. Beware of your blind spots. You all heard of confirmation bias? Confirmation bias is when you think something is true and you go looking to prove that you're true, that you're right? We all do that. And what's really good at making sure that we think we're the smartest people in the room is social media, your algorithms, right? Just constantly feeding you up exactly, I'm the smartest, I'm right, this is my echo chamber, I know about everything, right? Because that's your world. Big caution when you're using AI systems right now. If you don't know what you don't know, how are you going to miss stuff? If you're using an AI system, you're saying, hey, I want to learn how to ride a bike, and you've never ridden a bike before, you might not have to think about proper headgear, right? Or what it's like to change gears uphill versus downhill, right? You don't know. So beware of your blind spots and make sure you have systems in place that the AI is actually helping you. What about this? Guide you along. Because if not, you're going to go blind down one rabbit hole, and you're going to think that you know all the right answers, and you're going to miss a whole bunch of cool stuff.
That's right. I can't wait to talk about the Spark Pen.
Yeah. And safety first. When you're working with an AI system, what data are you giving them, and where's it going? When you're in ChatGPT, for instance, and you do something just really benign, like say, hey, I want to write a letter to my customer, Chad Russell. Here's his address. Let him know I'm excited to meet with him next week. Ready to go. Write this nice letter. Where did Chad Russell's name and personal address just go?
To the Wide Web. Oh, to the what? Wide Web. Everybody knows that.
You see what I mean? So I'd be very careful about using, especially like in financial services and mortgage and whatnot, going in and ChatGPT or any of these other plugins and putting in your customers' names and addresses and scenarios and your intellectual property and your business secrets in there. You see what I mean? So like with a system like Huzi, it's like we create this safe spot. It's a closed loop. It's only yours. Nothing goes anywhere else. Nobody's seeing it. No AI model's reading it. Doesn't go to training data, right? So when you do use AI, just data safety. When I sat down, I was going to build this thing first. I was going to build it for me because I knew I wanted to use it, but I didn't want all my stuff going to OpenAI and Google anymore, right? So make sure you just know what's happening, especially your client's data.
Absolutely. Well, and so what we talked about in the Spark Pad, and call it the Spark Pad because it sparks creativity, right?
When you write things into our Spark Pad, you type a prompt, okay? You type a prompt in, it will give you an answer. If you have Spark mode turned on, which we're gonna talk about a couple of different things just real quick, it gives you 3 more prompts to think about. That is really cool, guys. We have a community of people that are on our calls. Last night was our call, so we have one every other Tuesday. We have a live call of people that are members in Huzi. And last night, all I did was just get into SparkPad and start asking it questions about how to do a SWOT for my business in 2023. What can I take from this and learn to make some changes in 2024? I literally did it on the SparkPad, and every single time you ask it something, it gives you 3 more prompts to remember and think about. It's really cool. Because with ChatGPT, if anybody here has used it, you might ask it a few questions and then you kind of don't know where to go sometimes. Anybody felt that before? Like not sure what to do next because you don't know what you don't know. So our SparkPad actually helps you with that. It's really cool.
So in today's world, the goal for a project like this is how do I arm you with an entire team, a real estate team, even though you're a single agent? How do I arm you with an entire team, even though you're a single agent? Or if you're on a team, how does each team member feel like they have an entire team underneath them? So if you're gonna use a ChatGPT or a product like Huzi, like we have built in, I'm sorry, I should always say we have built in an entire team. So team leader, marketing and sales, financial operations, hiring and growth, a real estate coach, tech support, right? So you have access to like these AI advisors 24/7 anytime you want.
So these are all AI models that have been trained on those specific industries.
It's like a team. Yeah, it's like a team. But more importantly than the AI model itself, the other reason why I designed it this way is because I wanted the user to kind of step into that role. Right? So if you talk to a CEO of a company, he or she generally talks long-term vision, 10 years, 5 years out. You talk to a regional VP and they might talk like in the annual timeline. You talk to a worker, like an entry-level worker, they're talking about tasks today. There's different perspectives depending on who you are in your business, right? Working in your business, you have one perspective. You work on your business, you have another perspective. So the user interface, what I was trying to do is just as much psychologically as get you to step into those roles. Here's what I'm working on now, and then realize that it's not a silo, it's not by itself. There's stuff that happens before and after that. Well, you might need a different perspective to do the things before and after that. So now you've got a whole suite of teams, right? Now, if you're not going to be a member of Huzi, you can do, has anybody built your own GPTs now in ChatGPT yet? Has anybody done that here?
You can do this in ChatGPT.
So if you do want to learn to code or you do want to learn how to set these up, I'm going to just tell you, you should spend, if you're not going to be a member of Huzi, please go and learn how to do this on your own, because just imagine what you could do if you have specialized AIs that help you prepare for your listing presentations, prepare your buyer reports, do whatever your marketing material, you know what I mean? Like specialize. It'd be cool, just push button. It's cheap. Why wouldn't you? Think of all this AI is just almost darn free cognitive labor, just willing and able to help you out anytime you want. That's how I think about it. So now how do you harness that? Well, I think you harness it by being intentional and being thoughtful with your business first.
Yep. So just to give you guys an example, there are 7 copilots in addition to just the regular GPT. So these are the copilots. If you click on learn more for each one, it tells you like a little summary. Okay, what is this copilot all about? You don't have to use any of the copilots. The whole point is to make this a game and learn. If I ask it a question, what would the team leader say? What is the operations person going to say? What's the finance person? You're going to get a little of a different answer because they have different contexts and different perspectives. So the interesting thing with that is you write your question, here's the Spark Pad, and here's a Spark mode. At the end of every answer, it gives you 3 more prompts of things you could ask. So you could just keep going down these rabbit holes. And I did that last night with doing a SWOT on my business, my family, and my health with our group. We said, okay, what are your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in your health, for example, in 2023? How was your year in eating and your diet and your exercise, right? And we went down and kind of talked about it, and we had Huzi help us with this. And then when we get done to each little question, it comes up with 3 more ideas of stuff we should probably ask. Like, oh, and sometimes you're like, yeah, I get that. I would have asked that, or I don't need that. But sometimes you're like, oh, that's a good one. I never thought of that. That's what I love about Spark mode in the Spark Pad is it sparks creativity. And Nathan put a little apple down here. It's like, remember Isaac Newton? sitting under a tree and apples are falling, and he's wondering, why do the apples always fall straight down to the ground instead of like sideways or a different direction? It's like he's getting ideas about how things work. That's what the Spark Pad and the Spark Mode does. It gives you ideas on how to be more creative. This really is, the more I've played with it, I love playing with this thing. The more I've played with it, it really is a creativity revolution, not a technology revolution. I've used it for creating diet plans. We've had people in our community create triathlon workout schedules because they downloaded a 159-page PDF. We'll talk about that in a minute. And just have Huzi teach you what's in it. It can answer your questions. It can summarize it. It can give you bullet points. It can give you a quiz. It can create a Q&A. It can do anything with the information that you give it. So it's limited to your creativity. And what Eric said earlier really quickly too, I wanted to mention this. We all know how technology works, right? At the very beginning, there's the innovators. They're like the first people, like an Eric when it comes to this, an innovator. Then there's the early adopters. Then there's the early majority, the late majority, and the laggards. Well, in every technology, think about CDs, think about video, think about Netflix, think about anything. AI is the same way. Think about the internet. It's funny, if you want something to do that's really funny, go back and search the internet in 1995. Go look at the Wall Street Journal, Newsweek, Time Magazine. What were they saying about the internet? I promise you it will be very funny for you. I've read all the articles. It's hilarious. Everybody thought the internet was going to be crazy. Nobody was going to use it unless you're in a data-rich environment. Nobody needs it. There's never going to be online shopping. That's literally what they were saying in 1995. This AI thing, guys, you are very early on. You're not innovators, but we are early adopters. We are early in this, and this is something we need to learn for sure. So this is what Eric asked. We've got some slides here on, well, what would you use this for, Rick? I'm a real estate agent. What literally would I actually use this for? And this is what we do on our community live calls every Tuesday, every 2 weeks. Number one answer we get, like a lot of people, how many here raise their hand they use it for property descriptions if you're going to use AI, right? That's almost always the number one answer. Well, I use it for property descriptions, okay. I generalize personal email templates, right? We talked about that over here. I mean, just start thinking about what could I use AI for? And this is stuff that comes from Michael Gerber's book, The E-Myth. Has anybody read that book, The E-Myth? Okay. The E-Myth is working in your business and working on your business. How about creating a budget? How about creating a financial plan and goals? It's like, these are things AI can help you do so much better than we can on our own. AI it's like, Nathan told me this one time and made me laugh, but it's so true. Think of AI and Huzi like a 4-year-old, but it knows everything. But you have to tell it exactly what you want to know, and it knows it, but if you don't tell it exactly what you want it to know, then it's like it might not give you a great answer, right? So these are things that we do on our community calls, and we have a community forum where people get on, and we talk about, how are you guys using it? How'd you use it last week? How'd you use it last week, right? And we share ideas, and people learn from each other. It's so cool. And that's, to me, that's one of the most valuable parts, is having a community of other people that are learning and using AI as well. Oh, so those prompts, yeah, this is the next thing. Scan this if you want the...
If you have your phones out, if you want to scan this, or at the end we'll have another slide put up. But basically we just built, and thank you, Nate, Nate, part of our team.
Literally all the time. Nate back there he works all the time. He's incredible.
Took 40 main tasks that an agent or mortgage professional does, and then broke down the prompt guide, so a series of prompts to help you work through that task in the Huzi way. Right, building big context and doing it at a deep level. So get that for free, and it'll help you no matter what system you use.
So the prompt guide, you guys understand that, right? The prompt guide would be like, what do I ask it to get certain things done? And he has broken it down into several different categories of things you want it to do, and he literally has put the prompts in for you to then enter, and then keep playing with it. Keep iterating on your own.
Give you structure.
Yep.
Give you structure.
All right, so how do we stop the overwhelm? When you start thinking about changing your business, who gets a little bit overwhelmed instantly? Whose palms start to sweat a little bit? Here's what I want to say. We grossly overestimate what we can get done today, but underestimate what we can do in a year.
Yes.
And I've found that all of the best, evolution, businesses that evolved, people that evolved, didn't like all of a sudden make this huge change and radically shift everything in one day. They made small little changes each day, and at the end of the year, everything looked massively different. But it wasn't this entire radical shift every day. It was small little things every single day.
You can change your direction radically right away, but you're not going to change your results. Like for me, learning about short sales in 2009. Well, that's a whole nother direction. I went that direction. I mean, I mentally made a decision to change right then. What I'm doing is not working. I need to do something different. So I made my decision right then. It took some time for it to kick in, just like with AI. When I first heard of AI and Nate told me about it in December, I was like, oh, I literally mentally changed my mental direction right then. But I've been playing with and learning at an accelerated level for a year now.
So here's a question. I asked myself, I think, by the way, if you're in business, the better quality of questions that you ask, the better quality of answers that you get, the better quality of business that you have. So how good of questions can you ask yourself about what you're going to work on this year? So I asked myself, I was like, all right, how can I make the paperwork work harder for me than I do for it? We're in a data-rich, paperwork-rich environment, right? So a tool set that we want to have right away is something called Huzi files, where you can imagine your transaction documents, preliminary title report, CC&Rs, manuals to your car, manuals to your TV, 2023 data, a study from MIT. My daughter who's got a kid in college? My daughter's a first year at OSU, so she'll call me, she goes, Dad, they give me 140 pages to read today. I'm like, don't have Huzi read it for you. Read it yourself, but then download the 140 pages into Huzi files, and then ask Huzi to create a study guide for you. So she reads it, and then she uploads it, and she says, create a study guide, and then Huzi creates a study guide for her. And she goes, great, now create a multiple choice quiz for me to make sure she, can't you do that with FHA guidelines? Yeah. Can't you do that with Oregon rule and law? Can't you do that with 2023 data? Whatever you want. Okay? So my point is, if you have a system that gives you chat access to all of your documents, you are going to be on another level. So if you upload your CC&Rs, let's say, instead of reading through the whole thing, it's like, give me a summary and let me know if I can have a pool. Right?
That's the first thing I get. So just to give you guys a real world iteration example, we started talking about this in June. Huzi files. How can we get it to read files? And then we want AI interaction with any file, any PDF, any HTML website, any file. We want to just be able to talk to videos, go on to YouTube, click on the get the transcript, save that as a Word document, put that in, and now you can just summarize, bullet point, you can interact with the video. So we talked about this in June. It became a real thing in August. This came up, I mean, it took, what, 3 months? 3 months, literally, we built this. It's crazy, guys. And the first thing I did with it, I downloaded my CC&Rs where I live. When I live in Idaho, we have a 49-page CC&Rs. Okay? I downloaded that. Instead of reading through it, I said, how long can I park a trailer in my driveway? And it said 72 hours. Like, can I have cats? No, cats are not allowed. Outdoor cats are not allowed in this subdivision. It's like, you can just ask it questions because it knows everything in the document. How cool is that? How about if you have a title report? You download a title report. Are there any easements? Where are they? How many are they? It literally will tell you right then. Instead of you having to, I mean, we encourage you to read through the whole report, but how much easier does that make your life? You know, Eric did it with his ingredients in his pantry.
I did. Yeah, I was like, hey, tell me what to make. This is what I got. Tell me what I should make for dinner. And there it goes. But like real funny. So around my house right now, like, who hates to maintain the stuff that you own? I hate to maintain the stuff that I own. Like, the more stuff that you have, the more stuff you have to know. So I've actually started uploading all the manuals of everything in my house, all my appliances, all the stuff. So now when anything breaks, I just go ask it. It's like, hey, what part do I need to fix this thing? And it just tells me.
I downloaded my GoPro camera. You ever buy a GoPro camera? Anybody have a Hero? I have a Hero 8 Black Edition. The thing is like this big. I can't read. I'm 53. I cannot read the man. It's literally that big. And the writing, it's just crazy, right? So I just go online, go to GoPro, download the file. I downloaded the Huzi files. I wanted to video my son playing golf. My son's a lot better golfer than me. I wanted to video him in slow motion, and I couldn't figure out on the camera how to change the frame rate. So I just downloaded it to Huzi, ask it, how do I change the frame rate on this? And it tells me, step 1, 2, there's 7 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, turn on mode. Here's what it does, because it knows the manual. It's just so cool.
So what I want you to think about each one of these things that just is like your own little mini AI specialist. So if you put your business plan in here, your marketing plan, your personal financial information, your hopes, wishes, and dreams, data, transactions, whatever you want, now you have chat access with it. That's all I'm talking about. So the whole idea today is that you can see how quickly you can go from where you are to having all these best ideas, hopes, wishes, and dreams, but there's all this friction in the way, isn't there? All the stuff you have to do and think about and perform, just that starts to erode when you deploy AI like we're talking about. So it just becomes easier to be outstanding than it ever was before, for pennies on the like cheap. Okay, next one.
So this is where I was going to talk about my GoPro camera. We talked about that. Nathan downloaded his weed eater, didn't know how to change the string. Literally, download the manual, ask it how to change the string in my weed eater. It's like, I mean, any document you want, and you can click and talk to all these documents. You can download. How many of you get multiple offers on a listing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it still happens every now and then. You get multiple offers, download them all and talk to them all. Hey, can you run me a comparative analysis of these? What's the difference? What are the good points? What are the red flags? You did that with an investment opportunity.
I did. I had 47 pages that came on investment opportunity apartment complex. I didn't have the 6 hours to really do all the due diligence to make an investment like this. I loaded into Huzi and just asked my big questions, just like it was the fund manager. And it laid it all out.
Pointed out the red flags. I mean, things you hadn't even thought of, it pointed out. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Here's when Rick said earlier, while your competition shouts to the masses, you should be connecting with the individuals. So using AI to write your blog posts and your listing descriptions and all that, it's great. That's fine. That's outstanding. But isn't all your competition doing the same thing? Yes. But if you have access to an AI capability that can write really great stuff for you, wouldn't it be cool if you did it specifically for you? And specifically for you, and specifically for you, right? Where your communication now is dialed and unique and personalized and relevant to every person that you talk to. So I hark back, like in the business where you used to write actually handwritten thank you cards and handwritten connection cards. Remember that? Wasn't that cool when you actually personalized? And then also we went into this industry where we started having drip email campaigns and we just dripped on everybody with templates and we said it was personalized because we put their name on it. But it's not personalized. But now what you can do is, let's say you have an open house, and let's say you have 3 or 4 people come to your open house. You can say, great, you loved training puppies, you loved gardening, and you loved classic cars, Annie, right? So now I'm going to go into Huzi, I'm going to say, hey, send you, 5 tips on gardening, send you a whole bunch of information on Camaro, send you, and remind you all that I want to meet with you next spring to talk about real estate investing. Ready, go. Because the way I designed this is with the goal in mind, not to write content. What everybody else is doing is saying, hey, write this for me, write this for me. I'm trying to start with the goal in mind. What is the goal that you want to achieve by communicating with this person? By sending this text, by sending this email. Because if you're clear on that, isn't your communication going to be more powerful? If you're really clear on the goal. So when you sit down in front of Huzi Connect, you put in the goal. What do you want to accomplish? When do you want to accomplish it? Go. Writes it for you, you schedule it, it gives you the rough draft, you can edit it, schedule it, boom, then your text message goes out when you want, your email goes out when you want, and it's clear, concise, personalized, relevant contact information.
Populates your Google Calendar, populates your Google Contacts.
Yeah, so use AI, even if you're not, my point is, please use it to personalize your communication with everybody. You just have access to that now, so it should be done. And as a consumer, isn't that what we want? If you were to list your home today and you would be looking for a really good listing agent, what would be some of the qualities that you'd want your listing agent today? How about knowledgeable?
Market knowledge.
What else? What else would you want out of them? Good marketing. Connection. Absolutely. What else? Good at negotiation. What else would you want out of them? Good communicator. What else? That's it? How about empathetic? How about good listener? How about compassionate? How about punctual? Right? All those things. When you really think about what it is to be a really good buyer's agent or listing agent, it's a list of a bunch of lists of awesome things. Who wouldn't want to be that? So when you step into that role and you want to be that, then you can use AI tools, Huzi or not, to become that person in 2024. Promise you. Next slide.
There we go.
Oh, set yourself up for success. The community. If you walked into Costco without a budget or a plan, what's going to happen?
What happens every time?
You might be full, but you spend an extra $500-600, right? What about if you go to the gym and you're not really a gym person, you go there without a plan? Might it be a little overwhelming? Quality of workout might not be as good. My point is you have to set yourself up for success this year by having intentionally put together a plan. And being in a community of people around in your office or with people that are like-minded like you that puts your mind on the right path. Because 2024 for some people is not going to be a lot of fun. For other people, it's going to be their best year ever, and so everybody here gets to decide. And so you get to decide what kind of people that you're going to hang around and what you're going to be talking about, what you're going to be focused on. I'm excited for that. When I hear that numbers like half the agents are leaving or half the mortgage brokers are leaving, I don't like that for them, but I certainly like that for you. And I certainly like that for the home buyers and sellers that are going to get a higher level of professionalism this year. Don't you? So that's why we're here, is to do these things. Set yourself up for success. Get in those communities. So these are the downloads for the prompt guide and whatnot. Yep. And if you do want to join Huzi, you got a slide there. Most expensive thing we have for sale for everything is $79 a month.
Yes.
with coaching and training and the whole thing, right? So my point is, when you start investing in yourself, your whole world changes. When you invest in technology, not much changes. Invest in yourself this year. The people that are going to do the best job are the ones that are most in touch with their clients, most in touch with themselves, the most intentional with the technology they deploy. We hope we can help you with that. But even if we don't, I hope that for all of you. Seriously.
We have people, just to reiterate real quick, we have people in our community, guys, that did not know how to log in to a computer. You do not have to be techie, I promise you. We have people, some of our members that are up there in age. I'm 53 and they're older than me, and they literally did not know how to log in when they started, and they think Huzi's the best thing they've ever done in their business. It's helped them a lot. They share all kinds of great use cases on the forums that we do every week, the live calls. So you don't have to be techie. That's what we do. That's what the community is for, is to help you understand how to use it in your business.
I just want to share this one story that really grabbed me the other day. We were on a call, and one of our members spoke up and said that she started using Huzi because we taught people how to role play with Huzi. Isn't it better to role play and practice not on your customer, right? So we're using Huzi how to role play. Well, she had a stroke about 1.5 years ago. And so her thought processes were a little slower, her sentence structure was a little slower, her confidence was a little lower to go on these presentations. So she's using Huzi to constantly role play and get her chops up and get to speed. So she's having these appointments. I thought that was such a cool use case.
Before she goes to an open house, she gets into Huzi. She says, hey, I want you to act, Huzi, like a sales-resistant client walking into my open. What would, if I'm going to say this, what would you say in response? And it's resisting her, right? It's giving her sales resistance. So she's going back and forth on what would actually work with you to bring you value, to add something to you that you would care about. And it's helping her think through that before she goes in, so she doesn't have to think on her feet.
She can do it. So can everybody here. I really thank you, Denise. And questions? Yeah.
Absolutely. I have a quick question.
Yes. Can we do it one question, or do we have time? Okay. Yes.
You're saying that so you have little forums, that, because if you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here going, this sounds amazing, but if I don't know what to ask, so did you have in Huzi that?
So one of the challenges with technology is that when you buy something, you just feel alone. You got to figure it all out. Right. So I didn't want to launch a tech platform without a community. So we have live calls, and we have a daily active community that you can ask of members or of staff to get help with what you're using and talk about use cases as well, or join other calls, or go back and look at all the other calls. Yeah.
Every call we ever do is recorded, and you have access to them later. If you couldn't make that call, plus the community forums are always there.
No, you guys are quick. Keep going.
Yes.
Question. Go ahead.
Does this tool has a capability of multi-language?
Yes.
Multi-language was his question. Absolutely.
So by the way, multi-language, if you're going to use AI, it's better than any translator, because translators translate. These are language models, so they produce language. So they're grammatically more accurate if you translate to other languages. Any other questions? Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Eric,
Yes.
I met you
Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you so much. How powerful and thought-provoking, right?
and you came and did a presentation when I was at a big bank.
What's your name, sir?
Alan